There we are. We are connected. Hi, Brett. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Wonderful. Welcome to the Fashion Roundtable.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. I love your background.
Oh, thank you.
Is this your store?
Yeah, this is in my shop.
Wow, beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you on.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Good. We're going to jump straight into our discussion, but I see some people joining, so hi to those. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. We have great things in store for you. Brett, why don't we start off with you telling us a little bit about what it is that you do in the world of fashion, art, and lifestyle?
I own a brand online called Ellabing, and we have a brick and mortar location in Tampa called the Ellabing Haberdashery. So I guess you could say I'm a haberdasher, although really nobody knows what that is.
So haberdashery is commonly defined as men's clothing and accessories, correct?
Yeah, I think it's mostly misunderstood as like a hat shop. I hear that a lot. But yeah, definitely like a old school term for clothing, having it repaired, or suits. It's definitely a term that has fallen out of favor. It's kind of more the English version of the word, or the English. It's English, and the American version is kind of like the word outfitter. But that here in the States has kind of turned to like an outdoorsy kind of meaning. So haberdashery is a fun word. It really kind of describes what we do here. And interesting, we floated along for 5 years without that word attached to us. And when we attached that word to our brand, we finally figured out what we were. So it really helped us kind of figure out finally what our direction was.
Right. Names have a lot of power.
Yes.
You hear it in Britain a lot too. You hear the word haberdashery a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Britain. When I
Yeah, you
lived in
certainly
Europe,
do.
that was what most stores were called for menswear.
Yep.
So you told us the last part of it. How did you come up with Ellabing?
So we, number one, my daughter's name is Ella.
Okay.
And everybody asks me where the name comes from. There's like 5 different stories. The easy one is my daughter's name is Ella. We started out making bow ties, and I think a bow tie is something that's very traditional but yet fun. And I think the name Ella is a traditional name, but the name Bing is a very fun and outgoing name. So kind of combine those 2 words together, those 2 names together, and you kind of get what I think a bow tie is, kind of a classic, fun, over-the-top item that a guy can wear. But we started in 2012 online, and the whole real story is all about my little brother Matthew, who we lost in 2010 to suicide. He wore bow ties quite a bit, and my mom would make him the bow ties. Naturally, he was living in Manhattan, so naturally he had no money to really spend on clothes, and the jobs he did have were to get him a discount at the retail stores, so he could dress nice. But so my mom would make
clothes.
Yeah, he liked clothes, and that's kind of where a lot of the inspiration comes from. But yeah, so he passed away in 2010. There was a 2-year period where I was going through a divorce. I had to move to Jacksonville for work. I was miserable at my job, sitting in a cubicle all day long. And I just started listening to a lot of podcasts. And there's one specifically called Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. And I haven't listened to it in years, but I was really into it in about 2011. And just this idea of being able to create something around an idea that has meaning to you, that will give you passion, really resonated with me. And I thought of the idea of helping my family come back together. We'd grown a little distant, both emotionally and geographically, they live down here and I was in Jacksonville, but
Right.
just as a way for us to reconnect and do something in memory of my brother around something that he really enjoyed doing. Uh,
Right.
and it made sense. My mom is a really amazing seamstress. My background is in IT, so kind of the technical end of things worked
Right.
out well for us. So those two things that we needed back in 2012 kind of married themselves nicely together to start this brand.
What a wonderful background story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It really, and then you can hear the passion behind it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And, we have partnered in 2012 with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, uh, and we've been a partner with them since then. And we have created a fundraiser that we started in 2014. I think it was 2014, called Beer and Bow Ties. The
Right.
event's every September. 100% of the proceeds go to suicide prevention for the Crisis Center.
Wow.
And this past year, in 2019, we raised $90,000 in one night. So that was year 5 of the event. So it's really grown. We have 600 people come out, $90,000. It's turned into a big event and a big deal. So that really, helps drive us forward as well.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And really, Brent, wasn't going in this direction, but I'm glad that you said that because I teach suicide prevention at MacDill Air Force Base
Oh, really?
to a lot of the employees out there. And one of the things that's happening right now in our community and our society is there's been an uptick
Mm-hmm.
in suicide and domestic violence and interpersonal violence and child abuse because of the stressors that are happening in and around us right now.
100%.
So the fact that your brand has that driving them behind it to bring that awareness and that support, it's really huge for the community. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a long road, and I started it with a co-founder named Kim Randall, and she is attached to suicide as well. She lost a very good friend. So together, along with a very large team of people that put it all together, it's turned in quite a nice event. And really, I feel like it took several years to get to the point, but finally now starting to make a lot of traction in the community, which is great.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you've kind of answered the question, but not specifically. When exactly did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer is 2012. But
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, but I mean, really, like I kind of knew I had an eye or interest in not necessarily fashion. I've never been like a quote unquote fashion guy, uh, but just caring about what I look like or how I'm presented or how I'm dressed. Uh,
Right.
I really think I kind of piqued my interest in like the summer going into my sophomore year of high school. Uh,
Okay.
when I was younger, there was just no money to buy really nice things. So I
Right.
never had that experience, but I got my first summer job in that going into my sophomore year. So I finally had my own money. So I was able to buy my own things finally.
Right.
So that kind of gave me an idea that, I can start dressing a little bit more how I want. Uh,
Right.
and then my, brother, he was younger, 4 years younger, so same boat as I was. But, once he got into high school, he just took it to a whole other direction. He was just phenomenal with it. And so
Right.
the inspiration was always kind of looking at him and seeing what he was doing. Plus, him being in New York, they're 5, 6 years ahead of us anyways,
Right.
as far as fashion
They're
goes. So
definitely
he'd come down and visit, and he's wearing something that I hadn't seen before, and they had been doing
right.
it for, a year already or whatever it might have been. So he really kind of led me down that path. And like I said before, my background's in IT, so you don't really get to be too creative in that industry. It's all very
Right.
black and white, yes or no, on or off type stuff. Uh,
Right.
so being able to use my creativity in this respect has been very refreshing and far more enjoyable. I enjoy the technical aspect of things, but the creative part I really enjoy, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Right. And as you kind of mentioned earlier, bow ties give you a way to express yourself.
Yes.
And also how we dress is connected with how we feel a lot of the time. When we look good, we feel good. And so all of those things kind of go together.
Yeah, I think there was a Deion Sanders said something about, if he looks good, he'll play good, and if he plays good, he makes more money or something like that. But yeah, exactly. If he looks good on the football field, he's going to play better. So yeah, it definitely resonates, and it's true.
Right. So I want to jump into the we want to know questions to learn a little bit more about you. What are you drinking?
Whiskey. But
whiskey. I should have got me a glass of wine before I jumped on here, huh?
Don't tell my girlfriend, but she's on. I just saw her on, and I'm not supposed to be. We're on a diet, so I'm not supposed to be drinking right now. But
you're gonna get in trouble. Busted.
Yeah.
So tell me, Brent. We've kind of heard a lot about what you are passionate about, but what would you say is the number one thing that you are most passionate about?
I really enjoy building things, not in a physical way, but like brands and ideas. I'm big on big ideas. I'm not great at little technical details, but the building of ideas and brands really excites me. And luckily for me, this brand has been able to sustain itself for 8 years now, I think it is.
Wow.
And has kept me motivated enough, has held my interest long enough. And I think that's because it's always changing. You think you're doing well, and then all of a sudden other things come into play and kick you down. So it's always a challenge. I love a really good challenge. That's one thing I loved about IT was it's challenging. You're always learning. You're always growing. And the same thing can be applied to what we do here. You're always learning, always growing. There's always new challenges coming up, and there's always new projects to solve, and new projects to start and finish. And that's really what I enjoy doing. I can't say I don't enjoy numbers or accounting and all that aspect of stuff, but the building and creating of something new from the ground up really gets me excited.
That's great. And problem solving, it sounds like.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So tell our followers one big mistake that you've had in your life and one great accomplishment.
One has nothing to do with business, but it kind of has to do with this business. The mistake, I wish I spent more time with my little brother before he passed. You take it for granted, and you think that they're going to be here forever. That's certainly one of my greatest things that I most regret, and just not knowing that I wasn't going to have him for the rest of my life, be around him. So that certainly is one of the biggest accomplishments. Obviously the cliche thing to say is the birth of your daughter, which it is, but not the birth of your kid. But and I've already touched on it. It's starting the fundraiser, really. Being able to work with such a great partner like the Crisis Center, and make an impact on the community has been really instrumental to us. And the fundraiser, it started with, initially it was called Bacon and Bow Ties. We had it at Dad's in South Tampa. I think we had 30 people show up, and we raised $500 the first year. Wow. So to see it grow like that over the past 5 years, it's really been cool. And it's really kind of grounded us to know that we're doing something bigger than ourselves and helping the community in a way. And I always think, I like to connect with brands that do that in general. Obviously, it's not a requirement by any means, but, finding a way to give back or help is instrumental. Suicide is such a tough subject. People do not like to talk about it. It's just now becoming a little bit more acceptable to speak about it. And it's not, and there's no answer. That's the problem. And I get so frustrated with that. Other issues have answers. Suicide doesn't have an answer. And it's hard to track what you're doing. It's hard to track movement, if the needle's being moved one way or another. And there's the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay is this amazing resource that's in the area that a lot of people just don't even know about.
They are.
And that's part of the message is, getting the message out there with the fundraisers to let people know that this amazing resource is sitting right here in our hometown, and they're there to help. And it's not only with suicide what they do; it's domestic abuse, violence, finances.
Personal,
I mean, it's a huge umbrella they cover. So our little area just happens to be with suicide, but in general, it's an amazing foundation.
Absolutely. And it is so much awareness being brought now because of people like you and brands like your own, and that philanthropic giving back to the community is so important for a lot of us. And if you're a person who is out there struggling right now, connecting with people is a big one instead of isolating, and self-care. So we will put that crisis line number up when we post this video, so that you guys can connect. So I have another question for you, and thank you so much for sharing that. This is a little tough one. I talked about this with my husband last week, and I said, I'm going to ask Brent this. Would you rather have power and no money, or money and no power?
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's tough, right?
Yeah, I think like power can bring you influence, which can be obviously instrumental. But if done incorrectly, it can also be very nefarious. And whoever has that power, if they're not well grounded or mature or self-aware, it can really lead to corruption.
Right.
So, and you see that in politics every day, right? And
Yes.
they also have,
Absolutely.
they have wealth too, of course, but they have the power, and it can lead to corruption. So, it makes it extremely difficult. Money gives us the sense of security for ourselves and our family. And a lot of times it's measured by hard work success. So, it's really kind of a pick one or the other. I remember that there was a show on Netflix called House of Cards. And like the first season, the first like scene or two of the show, the lead character mentioned something like, money is the McMansion in Sarasota that falls apart after 10 years, and power is the stone building that lasts for centuries. And like just thinking about it that way, it's like power probably lasts longer than money will. So I guess I would say power, but that might be a little narcissistic. I don't know, but
I think it's a great answer.
Yeah. Like, who would you rather be, Paris Hilton with tons of money but zero power, or a guy like Barack Obama with he's got tons of money too, but
I get it.
One of the most powerful men in the world, so
Right.
make change. Power gives you the ability to make change in a
Absolutely
direct way, I guess. But so can money. So there's no good answer.
I almost stumped you, but you're pretty good. Great answer. Great answer.
Oh, thanks.
If you could collaborate with any celebrity or well-established brand, who would it be? Or would you?
Yeah, we've collaborated with a lot of it, like athletes and celebrities, and it's not fun. It's not fun. They never do what you want them to do, and so, and it's something we don't do anymore because we learned our lesson early on.
Right.
But if I could like a mentor way, that would be really helpful. So there's the guy, The Prophet, on CNBC, I think, Marcus Lemonis, I think his name is. That guy is just so patient and down to earth and calm. And he's very articulate and he's able to get his message across very concisely and very thoroughly without raising his voice, without commanding that power. So I find that very inspirational. Other guys on a larger scale would be like Ralph Lauren. Just his rags to riches story, starting from nothing and to what it is today. I mean, it's amazing.
He started very similar to you.
Yeah, he actually did.
With a bow tie.
Yeah. Neckties,
Neckties.
yeah. So, and just like his story, just the way he came up and really self-made, is quite inspirational. Some brands, I really like smaller brands. Now, when I say Ralph Lauren, I meant the guy, not necessarily the brand.
The
but
family, the connection.
Yeah. And I like the lifestyle they built around that brand. But smaller brands like there's a guy named or a brand now called Kyle James Patrick. It's kind of like a Nantucket nautical preppy vibe, but he built this brand off of essentially what I can tell really good photo shoots that he probably did himself to start out with, and
Right.
just creating this lifestyle seemingly around nothing. And he really took what was probably around 2011, 2012 when social media was still very young, and capitalized on it. And it's very inspirational to see what he did. And he started off making like anchor bracelets. And now I believe he has an entire line of items. And just from anchor bracelets, he was able to create this entire line, or this entire basically miniature empire, which is extraordinarily impressive. And a competitor of ours, Brackish Bow Ties, they do the feather bow ties. I had a chance to interview those guys when I would try doing a podcast like back in 2012. Real cool guys, and they've lasted this long, and they do a really phenomenal job, make a really great product. One of our products, our wood bow ties, is competitively priced with theirs, and unique like their feather bow ties. So they're a really cool brand that I would love to collaborate with in the future.
Wonderful. It sounds like you like those hardworking
Yeah,
brands.
I'd say so. I mean, I'm not the type of guy where things just I do this and it works out for me. It takes a lot of, I know people like that. I'm very envious of them, but it takes a lot of hard work for me, and I'm used to putting in that hard work. So, just what I have.
And it's paying off, so that's
I hope.
wonderful.
Yeah, we'll see.
I would probably be remiss if I didn't ask you, and we ask most of our guests that's coming on just because it's relevant and it's happening right now with this pandemic that's happening. How has it impacted you personally? How has it impacted your brand? And what are you doing as a workaround?
Yeah, it's really affected us tremendously. I'm worried every single day. Sales are down tremendously with our brick and mortar spot. It's been really difficult. We were fortunate enough. My parents are still involved with the business making. My mom still makes bow ties, cloth ones, and my dad still is involved with our wood bow ties, or he still makes them. But so my mom started making. We had to close our shop March 15th, and for 15 days I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do. And then my mom told me she started making some N95 grade masks and giving them to first responders in hospitals. So I kind of took that idea and just to get some publicity amongst our mail list, sent out an email letting our mail list know that we were trying to do something good. And then people started responding saying that they wanted masks. I was like, okay. So we made like 50 masks, and I thought we would sell those in I thought we'd still have them. And
Right.
we sold out in 15 minutes. So
Wow.
then we knew we were onto something, and nobody at that time, of course, people were making masks, but a lot of the time it was, they weren't selling them on a bigger scale. So we got on that ball really early and started selling the masks April 1, and it saved our April. We sold, I think, close to 4,000 masks. So that was tremendous, very helpful for us financially.
And meeting a community need.
Yeah. Definitely the people at that time, so in April, people were still looking for them, couldn't really necessarily get them very easily.
Right.
Today, obviously, you can get them at Publix on the shelf. You can get them anywhere. We're still making them and selling them, but they're not obviously selling as much as they were. But the great thing is we actually had to hire on 12 people to sew for us to make these masks. So that was cool, being able to, a lot of people had lost their jobs at the time, so being able to provide short term, some cash for people was great. The mask really helped us out, but now it's just pivoting, trying to find the problem with what we're doing. 2020 is canceled. There's no events, there's no weddings, there's no galas, there's no fundraisers, there's no reason to get dressed up. And everything we do is around getting dressed up. So it's like, what do you do? And our brick and mortar has kind of pivoted to more of gifty items for men, which has been good for us. People still come in for gifts,
Right.
I'm not talking like corny gifts or stuff, but like, nice, unique items that you won't necessarily find anywhere else. Uh, so the idea now is basically let's scale back how um, dapper we are and try to do things that are a little bit more casual, uh, lower priced items as well, and pivoting to just different markets. So we started up a laser business and laser engraving. So,
Wow.
and that we fired that up last month and it's doing pretty well so far. We were just on Etsy, but just that little pivot is created another stream of revenue. So that's been very helpful. So I think it's just these little, there's not one big thing I can do to change anything.
Right.
So it's just these little kind of chipping away at the wall here to kind of get back to where we were. I don't know what to expect for the holidays. Obviously the holidays are normally quite a big time for us. I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping it's good, but who knows, really.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like you guys have been brainstorming and coming up with those workarounds like the rest of the world is doing in these different situations.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you please.
I was just saying,
No.
I think it's really important to be able to be flexible and pivot. We're small enough still to where we can do that pretty effortlessly. So just coming up with these ideas and quite honestly, back in March, I wasn't doing great and I had no interest in making masks. I was just down and out and just down. And my mom really saved it. She swooped in and saved it. So 100% of the efforts go to, or the thank yous go to her for thinking ahead and seeing what we could do. And being able to fill that demand was very rewarding, and both personally and financially, obviously too.
Right. Well, Brent, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show tonight. Tell our followers how they can connect with you guys online. Let them know where the brick and mortar is. And if you are in the local Tampa Bay area, come out, visit the store.
Yeah, so we can be found online at Ellabing.com. We have a brick and mortar in Hyde Park Village. We're on Snow Circle, so we're kind of behind, if you're familiar with the village, we're in between Lululemon and Bar Taco on the trail that nobody goes down. But come find us there. We're open 6 days a week now. We've reduced our hours a little bit just because of everything going on. But I'm primarily here. I am here all the time now. So my dog's always here too, Mimi. She's quite the hit. People come in just to see her. So, yeah. And of course, we're on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or not Twitter, Pinterest. Yeah, stop by, say hello. Have some whiskey with me.
Sounds wonderful.
Oh, one thing I wanted to shout out is, sorry, another way, we pivoted before all this happened. We started doing custom suits. We partnered with a company called Sir Dudley's. He's been in the business for like 20 years.
Okay.
And this happened right before COVID started. So it was a horrible time to pivot. But we do custom suits, custom shirts, and now custom shoes. So those three items for when we do go back to work, it's a great opportunity to come by and see us.
And some people are going back.
Yes.
Some people are going back.
Yes,
so
yes, 100%.
Check it out, you guys.
Yes. But I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
You too. Thank you, everyone.